Welcome back to Global Village. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is climate change and Earth Day. And joining us still is Senator Harrison Alvarez, and he is the chairman of the Climate Institute Advisory Board based in Washington, D.C. Welcome back, Senator, to our second segment. Very nice video that we showed before we came on. Yeah. And I say it's nice and very striking because it really showed you in terms of numbers and statistics what has happened since 1970 when the first Earth Day was celebrated until today. And shocking, like just to point out some figures, 170 species have become extinct since 1970. 81% decline in freshwater animals, things like that. And so
pelagic fish harvest,
etc.
Yes. Yeah, because the population, meanwhile, from something like 4 billion, it's shot up to about 7 billion now.
Yes,
3 billion. And the consumption level of that humanity.
Absolutely. In terms of land,
enormous,
in terms of water, subsistence, all that.
But the worst of
shelter.
this is our consumption of energy. And we get our energy by burning coal, burning fossil fuel that we dig from the ground like oil and natural gas.
Yes.
That has also carbon. When you burn this, the carbon gets deposited in the atmosphere and lasts for 100 years. And when the rays of the sun strikes the face of the earth and the oceans, they can bounce off into the outer atmosphere. Especially
that's
the
global warming. That's
rays.
global warming for you. It
warms up. It hits the atmosphere, and it triggers tremendous storm. When we were kids, the storm was 70 kilometers per hour. The one that hit Tacloban and killed 8,000 people was 300 kilometers per hour. Can you imagine a car running at 300 kilometers per hour?
Yes.
So we have to cut this carbon dioxide, and we have been having a conference since 1995, all 196 countries of the world, on how to share, how to cut. First, we blame the developed countries who have been using enormous machines. And of course, the debate showed that not only the large countries, but even the countries like us, developing countries, also share in the blame.
Well, Senator, as you mentioned earlier, these countries started emitting these gases into the atmosphere during the Industrial Revolution. And now that they're developed, the developing countries are playing catch up, and countries like China, huge environment problem. I mean, I think they're building one coal power plant a week in that big country, and so as you mentioned, all these nasty emissions being thrown out in the atmosphere. But Senator, I think the problem with this issue is people like to use energy. We like air conditioning, we like riding our cars, we like, wearing nice clothes that take energy to produce. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't realize that, these modern luxuries and these things that we use for everyday life, there is an effect on the environment.
It's overheating the earth.
Yes.
But this kind of energy can be substituted for a climate energy we call more beneficent energy. The energy that comes from the sun, for instance. You put this to an inverter machine and then it becomes electricity.
Yes.
And we have now developed the technology, the panels that capture this from the sun, and then we have electricity that's clean.
But Senator,
or the wind.
Okay, I have a question. When do you think that these technologies will really become mainstream? Because at the moment, even here in the Philippines, I know some people who have put solar panels on the roof, and they do apparently save them some electricity, but it's still not mainstream. I mean, like, most people still don't have solar panels. I want to put solar panels in my home. I've been planning for the past 5 years, haven't gotten around doing it. But that's my question. This can only succeed if it becomes mainstream. When do you think that will happen?
Well, the calculations of our scientists, our global scientists, that we should be able to cut this fossil energy, this carbon dioxide, this carbon in the atmosphere, by 70% in the year 2050. So that's starting from the Paris Agreement, where countries of the world have decided to gradually eliminate, systematically eliminate the use of coal, oil fuel, and other carbon uses, and introduce alternative energy or make more energy efficiency so that you cut the use of deleterious carbon. And when you get to the year 2050, that's half of the century, you have eliminated 70%, and that we do this by sharing. The Philippines committed to share 70% cut in the year 2030, not in the year 2050.
Wow.
Yeah, but
we're
we
going
have
to
a
cut
small,
70% in
huh?
2030, really. The Philippines, that's
We'll cut 70%
that's 13
to
years away.
30, yeah?
That's 13 years away. That's
About 12, 14 years away, yeah.
Do you think we can do it?
It can be done for many good reasons. First, our consumption of fossil fuel or fuel that comes from that produces carbon is not that huge. We're only beginning to industrialize and develop and use more. As we use more, we can begin to use more energy of the sun. We're already the number 2 producer. We're very efficient in geothermal, the heat of the volcano, because they found out that we are volcanic.
Yes.
And then wind. Let me tell you that the sun here in the Philippines is very beneficent because we don't have winter.
We're in the
And
sun
then-
belt.
Yes, yes. And the radiance of the sun in the Philippines, especially when you get to about 9 o'clock in the morning to 12 to 1, is abundant.
So it's really the Philippines is a prime location to take full advantage
Yeah, we're
of
in
solar
the
power.
tropics, not only
Yes.
the Philippines, people in the tropics.
Yeah.
So that you can have a lot of sun energy, especially the solar panels are now, as I told you, decreasing in price.
Yes, yes.
By 9% every year. So in 10 years, the price of this solar panel is so cheap, it will be very competitive with the energy being sold that comes from coal.
Yes. You know, Senator, talking about the Sun Belt, I recently came back from Germany and, I'm very close to the renewables groups there, pushing solar, wind and all that. And I was amazed about how widespread solar is in Germany. And when I was talking
And they only have
Yes.
six brilliant months.
Yes, I was
The
talking to
rest
them
are-
exactly that. And
are cold and without sun.
And my German friends told me, they were just envious. They said, if we were in the Philippines, you would see maybe 10, 20 times more of these solar panels because you guys in the Philippines can really take advantage of this. You have 365 days a year and maybe 10 hours a day of sunshine.
Because they've invested in solar. They put up, for every opportunity that they can put up a solar panel, even in their garage, they put up a solar panel. And since many of the upper middle class and the middle class homes have provided solar from their homes, so very few now are they're not drawing as much energy from the coal plants,
Yes,
which are the
yes,
base loads,
yes.
the main source of energy.
Yes. But Senator, aside from that, apparently the German government is very generous and they give big tax breaks for people to actually install these solar panels in their homes. So, do we see that kind of support or hopefully that kind of support can be
Well,
given
in
by
the
our government,
In
no?
the first place, they put a tax on coal. Okay, so coal has become expensive source of energy. So solar is now very competitive. A lot more people are putting solar. And second, there is an exchange. If you produce some energy from your solar and you don't use all of it, you can sell it.
You
to
can
the
sell it
grid.
back
Yeah,
to the
you can
grid.
Sell it to them.
You actually
So-
become a power producer.
Yeah, you become a power producer. So there are certain villages that have focused on building their capacity to produce energy from the sun, and they're 100% without coal. The 100% solar. In the evenings, they use batteries, which are a little more expensive now.
Yes.
Still expensive, yeah. In the evening, but when they need energy or wind, they mix their sources of energy, but they don't use coal.
I think, Senator,
Fredlin, that's one of the
Yes.
one of the principalities. Yeah.
Senator, I think that's one of the big challenges of solar before it can really take off. I think what's holding them back, a lot of it, because the panels have come down in price, as you said. 9% a year reduction every year of panel price. Big help. But the batteries are still a challenge. For it to become really feasible, they have to come up with a very, very efficient, high
because
capacity
you,
battery.
You have an excess of supply that's free.
Yes. How do you
The
store
biggest
it?
nuclear plant, the sun, gives you an abundance of it. and you can store what you do not use.
Yes.
And at night, you can use that with the battery.
Yes, but see,
But the
that's a
battery,
challenge. Yeah.
the battery is a bit more expensive.
Yes.
But it's getting cheaper. Teklas
Also.
in the United States says that they have now been able to produce a battery, which is inexpensive, which you can put in your house. We'll see. They'll put it in America, and perhaps eventually we'll have it here.
You know, Senator, that's my dream. I want to live off the grid. I want to be free of Meralco. So I want to put
Yeah.
solar panels and produce my own power and be 100% self-sufficient.
Well, Meralco need not go out of business. They can shift to other energy making, like tapping the waves, or perhaps using their accumulated power or technology in order to harness the river systems, or they have gone to geothermal. So if you all live off the grid, there won't be a need for coal. That is way down the line. We can do it gradually and systematically. Our target is only 70. Our obligations to the United Nations is 70% in 2030. So actually, it's the big countries that will carry the burden up to 2050. America has planned it so that in 2050, they practically zero. They'll go zero on nuclear, on coal-produced energy, and in spite of Mr. Trump. Anyway, China also, in the year 2030, will practically stop using coal. They put a lot of solar, they put a lot of wind. I don't know if they put geothermal and wave.
I hope, sir, because, you know, Senator, the key really here is to get the big countries on board. They are the ones really who are the one responsible for emitting.
The big countries are getting us on board
Yes.
because they themselves are very worried. In the treaty that we have agreed, they were going to reduce more, and they put out a 100 billion package every year in the year starting the year 2016. I don't know if they've already completed that. They only have about 40 billion, which we could access in order to build our transition from alternative energy and gradually do away with fossil energy. And there's also a provision in this agreement that they will transfer technology to us.
Very good, very
So
good.
if the relationship works out,
And then it's a
they
win-win.
reduce
It's a
their
win-win.
dirty
Yes.
system. They eliminate the dirty system as we move along with them,
Very
but
good.
with assistance
Very good.
from them. yeah.
Senator, hold that thought. We have to pause for another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the situation in the Philippines. We're going to talk about Earth Day again and objectives and what we can look forward to in the coming weeks and months in the remaining time we have in 2017. So guys, stick around because more of Global Village when we return.